Hey, hello everyone.
Nayan, are you there?
Yes, Iman.
Ayushi is not here. I will make her the co-host later on, but you can make me right now, and Lalit is there.
Okay, I'll do.
Yeah. Hello, Harish sir. Hello, Prabhakar sir. Hello, everyone. So
Hello.
let's wait for 10 more minutes so that people will join and then we can start.
Sure.
So I think, Divyansh, can we start? Can you please share the PPT? We can start with the introduction to the future GPT. I think most of the people have been joined. Are you there, Divyansh?
Yeah, Iman, sure. Let's get started.
Okay. Okay.
Let me just share the screen once.
Sure, sure.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, it is visible. You can just zoom it to the full screen.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, is it full screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get started. Okay, so hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Devyansh Parashar. I'm currently working as a software engineer with Nikhil's team and leading the software development with him. Apart from that, I'm really excited to introduce you to Future GPT. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through who we are, what we do, why this community might just be one of the most valuable networks you joined this year. Okay, so let's get started. Yeah, uh, let's start with our vision. At Future GPT, our vision is simple but bold to become the world's number one global emerging technologies community. We are building a space that connects startups, investors, and innovators across AI, Web3, and deep tech ecosystems. And this is a vision being built proudly out of India as well for a global stage, actually. Okay, what our real mission is. So, how do we actually get there? Our missions rests on five pillars basically. First, we connect with industry leaders, bridging the gap between startups, investors, and established tech giants. Second, we foster strategic partnerships with them, creating collaborations that genuinely drive business growth. And third, we champion innovation, like identifying and amplifying breakthrough technologies and the founders behind them. Fourth is we built investment networks, putting promising startups in front of the right investor and mentors. And fifth is we accelerate knowledge transfer, making sure cutting edge insights flow freely across our community. Moving to our fourth slide, our impact in numbers. So now numbers don't lie, actually. So let me show you what this community has actually built. We are 22 5,000 plus founders and entrepreneurs, 50 plus major events we have completed in the last 2 years. Then we have five active chapters in India with international expansion underway. You can look through the Gujarat chapter, you can look through the Delhi chapter. We have 100 plus active investors and VCs. And so on. So we are kind of adding multiple things right now and heading towards multiple things in upcoming time. What we do, like what our core activities are. So, what does that actually look like on the ground? We run co-founder and investor meetups, strategic networking sessions, connecting capital with innovation. We organize hackathons and innovation challenges, multi-day events, driving breakthrough challenges, breakthrough solutions. We run corporate innovation programs, partnering directly with the Fortune 500 companies. We host startup showcase events, demo days, pitch competitions with live investor feedbacks. We conduct knowledge sharing sessions like today's, expert-led workshops and master classes, and then we drive across cross-industry collaborations, bridging AI, fintech, health tech, and other emerging sectors as well. Then moving forward, what our Elite partnership portfolio looks like. So none of this happens in isolation. We are proud to collaborate with some of the biggest names in global tech. We worked with GitX Singapore as an official community partner for cross-regional initiatives, Google on developer ecosystem programs and AI workshops. OneCon on cybersecurity innovation. Uh, then we have Flipkart on e-commerce innovation labs and logistic techs. Then we have Microsoft through Azure for startups and AI acceleration. Then we have AWS on cloud infrastructure and startup acceleration. And then we have and at last we have NVIDIA on AI and deep learning technology partnerships. Then our success stories, and this isn't just activity, it's a real impact. Our investors network has helped generate over $10 million plus funding for our community startups. We have facilitated 100 plus successful partnerships between startups and corporations. um, 85% of our showcases participants go on to get follow-up investor meetings. We have supported 150 plus product launches, enabled 20 plus international collaborations, connecting Indian startup to global markets, and facilitated 5 plus acquisition deals through our network. Then you can see our team portfolio. None of this is possible without the people driving it. Let me just walk you through all the names. Our co-founders, Nikhil Agarwal, Mr. Nikhil Agarwal, Nayan Mujadia, and then we have Mr. Ravi Teja. Then we have our and Mumbai leads, Sanil Nadkarni, Mrs. Shivani Tikadia Nadkarni, Mr. Rohit Srivastav, Sanjana Rathi, and Mr. Manpreet Singh. Then we have at our Bangalore side, Ayushi as our in our Bangalore team, and Mr. We have Mr. Prasad Anumula as our founder and director, and so on. And we are adding towards multiple things as well. Then, how our community partners look like? We are also proud partners on some major industry events, including GISEC, the Middle East and Africa's largest cybersecurity event, and the annual cybersecurity conference, where Future GPT has an official partnership announcement. Then we have community partners like GitX and Mumbai Tech Week as well for our like multiple tech events, digital investment events and all. Then we were partner of GitX AI Asia, like the Singapore one. These are some photos from our Future GPT meetups. You can have a look on them as well, and you can now like see the energy in these rooms is honestly the best way to explain what Future GPT feels like in person. Then this is some of the glimpse from our Nokia meetup at Bangalore. Packed rooms, real conversations, founders pitching directly, and a community that shows up. This is what we are inviting all of you to be a part of. Okay, so this is the QR of our LinkedIn. If today's session resonated with you, here's how you can get involved. Follow our LinkedIn page to stay updated on events and opportunities. And if you would like to support us more directly, we are always open to collaborations on venue partnerships and speaker opportunities and volunteering. So if any of that interests you, please reach out after the session to the team. Himani and Ayushi are there for you. Okay. So you can connect to our WhatsApp community as well. Uh, you can stay connected with us. Visit our website at futuregpt.in. You can scan the QR where all our event updates, opportunities, and discussion happen. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. I'd love to now open the floor if someone has any questions around the community, or else we can just get started. Himani, over to you.
All right, thank you, Divyansh, for a wonderful introduction to Future GPT. So, basically, to begin our session, I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Harish Tiwari. Hello, sir, are you there?
Yes, Himani, I'm there. Hello to all.
Okay. Yeah, good evening. And let me introduce you first. So, Mr. Harish Tiwari, he is a cyber threat hunter. So, today he will be speaking about on the topic that is the threat hunting 101. That is an introduction to be the peak framework. So, sir, we are really looking forward to hearing your insights. Over to you. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you guys see it. Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's begin. My name is Harish Tiwari. I'll be talking about what is threat hunting, why do we do threat hunting, and what is peak framework. Quick introduction about myself. So I have around 12 years of experience in IT and cybersecurity domain. Most of the experience of mine has been into offensive security. I've worked with different organizations, different domains in the past decade, and I've also not only offensive security, but I've also worked in governance, where I was working as a cybersecurity internal auditor with Schneider Electric, which is, by the way, my current organization. I've also been lucky to have taught in Symbiosis University, Pune, as a visiting on the job of visiting professor, and I taught MSc cybersecurity. And currently, I'm working as a cyber threat hunter, leveraging all my experience that I collected as a pen tester in offensive security. Now, using everything as on my current role, which is threat hunting. And I'm based out of Paris, France, where my current office is located at. So that was a brief about myself. Now let's just get into our topic. Yeah. So the agenda today is simple: threat hunting. We look at threat hunting by three questions: why threat hunting, what it is, and how do we do it with peak. And before we delve into all the technical stuff, I would want you to have a look at a quick image that I generated from AI. And on the image, you can see that I have put some graphs. On the left side, you can see all the attacks that have been happening weekly, on a weekly basis, average weekly basis since past 5 years, 6 years. And on the right, you can see the evasion rate. So in the black boxes, we can see all the threats that were contained and detected by the EDR solutions that are there, that are being used by different organizations. And in the white, it's all the attacks that were bypassed, or that were able to bypass the EDRs of a particular organization, and not only EDRs but also the in-place defense solutions. So the big picture here is not all the figures, but what I want to showcase here is that organizations are now facing a double challenge. One is enterprise telemetry continues to grow exponentially, while AI has enabled uh, attackers to generate evasive infrastructure payloads, social engineering artifacts at unprecedented speed and scale. So keeping that double challenge in mind, we go to the next slide. So why do we threat hunt? Before we delve into why do we do threat hunting, we look at what all enterprise grade tools and solutions we have at our individual organizations, or what is being used in the industry. So we have EDRs, which claim to detect static and behavior of malware or an attack kill chain. They collect telemetry data. Then we have SIEM, which are generating alerts as per their configuration, and these alerts get triaged by the SOC team. We have email gateways, which claim to detect phishing emails and other social engineering attacks that appear in the email. Then we have firewalls, we have IDS, IPS, we have threat intelligence teams and CTI platforms, all kind of fancy stuff we have there for defending our organization, IT infrastructure and enterprise infrastructure. But my question to you, or in general, is: are they really good enough? We cannot say that, because when attackers get innovative, when they get highly tactical and deceptive, when they create those OPSEC safe payloads, we are seeing graphs like this where evasion happens and the attackers get through and they are able to get that initial foothold and incidents happen. So the modern attackers, with all this, they are not trying to look suspicious. AI helps them, to generate activity that resembles legitimate user behavior, making malicious actions really hard to get distinguished from the normal enterprise operations. So they are blending into the operational noise that organizations are generating themselves. So, and by the way, everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt and take the mic, ask any question, or if you have any comment, I would love to hear that. So now, what is actually threat hunting? So this is how I like to define it, or how in my team we are putting the definition of it. So threat hunting is any manual or machine-assisted process for finding security incidents that your automated detection systems missed. So anything that was not detected by DR, that was not detected by SIEM, that was not detected by firewall or SOC, or any fancy solutions that you might have, it's the job of threat hunting to detect it. Now, not only incidents, but we also do detection of gaps and threats that are missed in general. I'll get to what do I mean by gaps, but by gaps, it's not exactly incidents which are appearing on a daily basis. It's actual flaws, which I'm going to take in a few minutes. So threat hunting, it's not reactive, it's not pen testing, it's not incident response, it's not vulnerability management, red teaming, but it's actually proactive. We actually try to get into the future and try to predict what could happen that can create an incident, and then we go ahead and work on hunts. So we do a lot of observation. We basically discover our IT environment. We like to know what is going on in the logs, how our administrators, our architects, developers, normal users are behaving, and what softwares they are using, what logs are getting captured, what is there and what is not there. During threat hunts, we observe it and get familiar to it as much as possible. So now, once along with observing and discovering, we identify gaps. So we not only report incidents, but we identify any misconfigurations. Like if there is a developer or an application which is sending passwords in the URLs. We also talk about vulnerabilities, or we try to detect gaps around vulnerabilities if there are any unpatched servers which are exposed on internet as a chance of getting exploited. Then we also look at non-compliances, any softwares which are not supposed to be there, a VPN solution which is not authorized. We detect that, and then also like all the logs that are not captured. It's just an example. For if I want to take one point on it. So let's say firewall is not capturing UDP traffic or some fields in the DNS data. So all these are gaps which other teams may not be interested in, but threat hunting is correlating everything, and then they are not only putting out incidents to the SOC, but they are also trying to detect what are the real gaps that are hindering robust cyber defense of a company. Then in threat hunting, we also do a lot of threat actors behavior study. So we would want to know what a particular malware was doing internally. We reverse engineer it, or how a certain threat actor or APT is behaving, or what industry they are currently targeting, or what they like to target, what is their typical TTP or tactic techniques and procedures. So we study all this, and then we devise ways to better defend our organizations in particular. So yeah, like I've put in the last line, so we try to improve the overall defense and detection in for our companies. And remember, everything that is not getting captured here, so it's really manual research and innovation that we are doing in threat hunting. So going to the next slide, summarizing. So what is the primary goal? Primary goal is not finding security incidents. It is like one of the outcomes or the secondary outcome, but it's more about augmenting your overall defense. Hunting reveals new ways so that we can detect malicious behavior or counter that visibility gap. And of course, once we have detected all these gaps, and once we started working on it, the new security incidents start to uncover automatically. And yeah, like the overall goal is the same, to drive improvements around organization security posture. So now, how exactly do we do threat hunting? So threat hunting can be done in a number of ways. What I'm currently exploring is something known as PEAK, or it's the most advanced framework out there, which stands for Prepare, Execute, Act, and Knowledge. And this is a framework which was introduced by David Bianco, who is like a pretty famous name in threat hunting. So David Bianco and his team at Splunk Surge Threat Research, they worked as or in the team of Surge Threat Research, and they have developed this framework. We have like other frameworks alongside of PEAK as well, like Tahiti, but PEAK is the most advanced one. And what PEAK does is it provides a structured and repeatable methodology for conducting threat hunts, measuring outcomes, and then improving detection coverage over time. So how it gets done, I'll be talking about each of the 4 steps. So in each of the 4 steps, we have 3 kind of hunts, basic hunts, which is hypothesis based, baseline based hunts, and model assisted hunts. But in each of the hunt, we follow these 4 steps, and let's see what they look like. So the first phase is preparation phase. Preparation phase is doing everything. It's like a reconnaissance phase, doing everything to maximize the chances of a successful hunt. So we select a topic, we do deep analysis, we conduct research, we look at different online resources, published papers, and then accordingly we plan out our hunts. We also look at internally at our organization logs, what logs are, available, what data sets can be leveraged, what is already present there, what is not present there. We also coordinate with maybe some teams who can provide us with the right data. So this all gets done in the preparation phase. Then comes the execution phase, which is like one of the interesting phases where we actually implement our hunt plan. So we do things like we execute queries on the EDR, SIEM, firewall, whatever platforms we are using to extract that log that we are interested in. And then we also do a lot of data science. So we perform a lot of pre-processing and post-processing of the data to get that refined result so that we can really get rid of the operational noise and focus on anomalies. And yeah, like we also develop techniques and detect anomalies, as I said. And then comes the act phase, which is the third phase. And here we are actually putting in play what we have done so far. So, for example, let's say we detected a rule which will be able to identify DNS-based beaconing in our environment. We create a rule for our SIEM and for our EDR, and we push that high fidelity detection rule to the SOC, so that we can, in future start working on the next interesting topic or the detection gap that is the most crucial at that particular time. Then we also do communication. So we are not only reporting incidents to the right SOC team or incident response team, but we are also informing the right stakeholders. For example, the architect or the product manager that, hey guys, here is the misconfiguration, or here is that unpatched vulnerability. Or we inform, for example, the IT administrator that right now we are, seeing usage of this non-compliant software, which could be, leveraged by an attacker in the future. So we inform also the right stakeholders, and then we also inform the management about our performance, what detections we have covered, how we have strengthened our overall defense, what gaps we have covered so far, etc. And in that phase, we also, document each of our step that has been done so far, whatever we have learned throughout the process until the act phase. Then comes the knowledge phase, which is like the most crucial one. We try to assemble and integrate all the knowledge that has been gained in a particular hunt at a central repo or a central location. And this could not be only in the form of, about technical aspects, but it could be also about understanding our organization, understanding our environment, what are the different log sources. Maybe in a large organization we may not know the different software and tech that is being used. So the knowledge phase is about including everything about that, and then it also includes any malicious IP addresses or DNS, any threat actor related infrastructure that was discovered, and documenting everything what a particular threat hunter has researched on or hunted on. So we take all this knowledge and we document it, and then this document, which is like could be in the form of any format, could be in the form of markdown file, and this document could be used as a memory and training tool for the AI agent. And this is the next step. So we carefully document all the hunts in a standard template, in a standard format, and then AI agents such as Claude or others, whatever you are using in your organization, they can, when they start conducting hunts or when we want to automate that process, they take their knowledge and memory from all the documentation that has been done in the knowledge phase. So I'll stop for some time. Any questions or any comments that you might have?
Can this approach handle the other agents' attack?
Yes.
How?
So at the end of the day, give me an example. What happens?
Claude has attacked other agents. So how? And that is not detected by any threat hunters. That was declared by Claude team. So what about those things?
Yeah, so Claude has attacked AI agents, but what happens? There is some kind of exfiltration. There is, a foothold being taken. So at the end, there everything drills down, on the network level, on the application level. There will be some kind of exfiltration. So we work on the TTPs. Okay. Now you're saying that this is an advanced attack. Maybe a particular team has not worked on a particular topic on a particular hunt, so that wouldn't have been covered until then. So it doesn't mean that it cannot be covered in future.
I'm not saying it is not covered in future. I'm just asking, okay, how we
Yeah, yeah.
can,
So
yeah.
yeah, so
See,
like it's on the operational level. Like as I said, when AI agents are attacking other AI agents, as you mentioned, what is the end goal? Like one of the end goal can be exfiltration of data, right?
yep.
Now exfiltration of data would be through maybe taking a random example. Let's say they are making use of curl or wget to exfiltrate data from a Linux machine. Okay, so in threat hunting, maybe we take up topics like exfiltration of data with curl and wget, and we then try to apply the whole hunt methodology. So if it's a human or AI agent making use of curl and wget to exfiltrate data, we'll be able to detect. So this is like a very basic example, but yeah, I'm just talking about the main artifacts that we take as a topic in our hunt. So for example, if I want to take a topic like AI agents attacking other AI agents, that could be also be a topic for our next threat hunt. But we want to form a hypothesis, and this is what I'm going to explain in the new like in the 3 hunt types, one of the hunt types. So we create a hypothesis that AI agent can attack AI agent and exfiltrate data on Linux systems. So we tailor down our hypothesis, and that's how we uh, get to execution of the hunt, um, and and hence and so forth. How we approach the concept of threat hunting. So let's talk about the first hunt type, which is hypothesis-driven threat hunt. So this is like the most basic approach. We form a supposition, we take a hypothesis, like Chirag gave us one case. So we form a hypothesis, and we try to see that how we can approach it. So we form a hypothesis about potential threats and their activities. So AI agent attacking other AI agent, and then we try to form a supposition that because AI agents are attacking AI agents, there should be some kind of activity in the network. There should be some kind of alert which is getting unnoticed, which has found a way to remain hidden in a particular environment, and then there is an exfiltration of data. So we form a supposition about the potential threat, their activities that may be present on the organization's network, and then we use this data and analysis to confirm or deny their suspicion. One example is that an attacker might use a LOLBin like MSHTA binary to download and execute scripts hosted publicly. So this is a technique of evasion, and I have put the correct MITRE tagging, and then there is another, there could be another topic like PowerShell being used with encoded command argument to execute a payload, and then at the same time there are some flags in the command line that are used by the attacker, for example hidden and Windows style hidden or -w hidden, and profile suppression switches being used so that the activity doesn't appear on the user's end. So yeah, like this could be an hypothesis that AI is attacking AI agents by using MSHTA and PowerShell, and then we go ahead with further hypotheses, and then we do our threat hunt. So I have put up a demo. It's on test data. Nothing is any confidential data that I cannot disclose in front of you, but just to give you a feel of how hypothesis-driven threat hunt looks like. And the hypothesis that I have taken is both for MSHTA, that attacker might be using MSHTA to execute scripts which are hosted publicly, and also for PowerShell. And for this, I have put a Python code together in a Jupyter notebook. So let me share it. Do you see my screen for the notebook, Jupyter notebook?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. So first, let me show you the log file which we'll be working on. So you see, like we have hundred thousands and millions of logs getting generated depending upon your organization size. Here I've taken a very small log data set, and it has like 1500 records. And imagine AI agent is attacking another AI agents and using MSHT and PowerShell hypothesis that we were talking about, how you will drive through it or go or hunt through it. So I've put up a code which will imitate what I'm going to talk about. So in the very first piece of code, I read the log file, the large log file with 1546 records. Now, our first hypothesis was that MSHTA is trying to connect, like the attackers could be using MSHTA exe to download and execute a script hosted publicly. So once we have loaded all the data, we go to the next step, and we do a search of only MSHTA related processes in the logs. So once we do that, we are left with just 30 logs. Okay. And then you can see like the different event time, endpoint name, process command line, destination IP address. So we go ahead with the next step, and we filter out any harmless or local executions which we are already aware of. And we want to just look at the executions towards or script executions which are hosted on the public IP addresses. So in the log, you can see there is only one public IP address which appears here. And like we were able to uncover the anomaly within the large chunk of data. And this attack was was used in a recent Luma Stealer campaign. So let me show. So this was, the attack kill chain, and we were able, like the hunt that we conducted was on MSHTA, step. Maybe I open the link for PowerShell, but yeah. So you see, like this, how a lol bin was used in this attack, which also used Luma Stealer. So that was about MSHTA, and let's go after the hypothesis that we had formed for the PowerShell. So for the PowerShell, and yeah, like the next piece of code, like last piece of code is showing us the entire data set for the anomaly that was discovered. Then comes the second hypothesis, which was around PowerShell. So we loaded all the data that was in the same file, and we exfiltrated anything that was related to PowerShell. We execute the next filter. So we want to just check any command which is making use of Windows style filter. So we further we further have a reduced data set of 9 events. Now within this, we will apply the next filter, which is about the filter that is about no profile, which hides the activity from the user console. And with that, we are just left with one anomaly, which is a true positive incident. And this was like the exact payload which was used at the time of attack. So this is how we do hypothesis-driven threat hunting, and we have like all the 4 steps in place. So all the sub concepts that we execute in prepare, execute, and act phase goes into the knowledge phase, which is the 4th phase. Now coming to the baseline threat hunt. So what is baseline? So in this type of hunt, we are making use of baselines, because hypothesis-based hunts may not be always, a good candidate when there is ocean of legitimate user behavior, or for example DNS data, if you know how widespread the data logs can be. So in that case, or in those cases, we cannot really make use of hypothesis. So we have to augment it by also including baseline. So in baseline, we establish a baseline of normal behavior in our environment, and then we search for deviations from that baseline that could signal malicious activity. Now, the candidates that we get at the end may not be necessarily malicious, but they are suspicious and a reduced data set for our further investigation. So the example here that I'm going to take is from last year, June, where this Light Pearl Girl malware was was in the news, and it was making use of a persistence technique. So let's say our agent has been compromised, and the endpoint has been compromised, and in order to achieve persistence, the attacker is placing an executable or a link file in the Windows startup folder. So the beauty of this persistence technique is that whenever the user re-logs in or machine restarts, any file that is there in this location will auto execute. Okay, so I have a notebook ready for this as well, which I'm sharing. So yeah, like this is the baseline for the baseline hunting. This is the Python code in the Jupyter notebook, and just to first show you the log file, here is the log file for 3 days. So we have extracted logs for startup folder files which were created in the past 3 days, and they are like around 1500. Again, this is just for illustration purposes. And then we take the recent day which we are interested in. So if we have, a suspicion that there could be an attack in the past 24 hours, we extract those logs, and it is, a relatively smaller number, like 400 something, because it's just for one day. So let us execute the code section wise. So first we load the baseline for 3 days. So you see, like all the logs. I've not shown all the logs because it would be too much on the screen. So we identified that mostly in our last three baselines, these are the processes which are appearing. So we group them by process name, and we find that there is like Slack, Teams, WebEx, Zoom, Spotify, which is appearing in the past 3 day log baseline. Now we load our last 24-hour log data, and now we are going to compare it against our 3 day baseline. So let me run that code, and there is one new file which was created and which was never seen in past 3 days. And yeah, this was again the file which was used as a persistence technique by or during the Light Pull Girl malware campaign. So this is about baseline threat hunting. And last but not the least, which is like the most advanced one, is model assisted threat hunting, or also known as math. So what is math? It's a data science process wrapped in a threat hunting process. And here we are making use of the data science mathematical algorithms and applying them to find any leads for threat hunting. So what we do, we take an algorithm or mathematical formula and we make use of large data sets to train that model. So we use machine learning to train our models. And once we have a trained model, we feed our data set which we are interested in to this model. And the model is, with whatever machine learning it has done, it's able to give you any anomaly that it's able to see. So the model is able to recognize any malicious or suspicious activity that could be related to an attack. So you can think of it as a hybrid of hypothesis-driven and baseline hunt type. And there is a lot of machine learning and data science applied to it. I have not taken any example of it. It's like a big enough topic in itself, so maybe I'll park it for the next time. But yeah, this is what we do in model assisted threat hunting. And so in model assisted threat hunting, I have put that last line, and we have two types of machine learning techniques: supervised learning and unsupervised learning techniques. So in supervised learning technique, we label the data set, and in unsupervised technique, we do not label any data set. We just provide it with the data set, and the model will train itself depending upon the algorithm that's being used. So yeah, like that is all. I want to close it with stating that AI has, right now it has effectively improved productivity for both defenders and attackers. The difference is like attackers often need just one successful opportunity, but defenders, however, must continue to identify a handful of malicious events amongst that millions of legit logs that are there. So yeah, like that was it from my end. I hope I am not past my scheduled time. And that's end of presentation from my end. If you have any questions, please feel free. No more comments or questions?
Yes, any questions anyone is having?
Is there any other deep learning model
for detection, threat hunting detection?
So like we have, if I go back here, so we have supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Okay, and within this, within this supervised learning and unsupervised learning, we have algorithms, so such as isolation forest, or so there are many algorithms, and with that we train our own data set. So for example, if I want to detect a DNS beacon, okay, so I'll take a data set which has, which I already know has a true positive candidate, and I feed that, 15 days or 10 days activity of data set to the model. The model will, under unsupervised learning, train itself automatically or by itself, and then we can apply, any new data set to check that what are the candidates that it is identifying. So we train our own models, and but there can be other models as well. And for example, 2 months ago, we like in my organization and with collaboration of 4 other organizations, we came together, all the threat hunters, and we developed a model, and which for which will be, putting out a paper. But yeah, like I highly recommend you to, read the peak documentation. I'll put the link on the chat, and this is, really advanced stuff when it comes to machine learning. So my pick is that we make use of all the three techniques because they are covering most of the threat hunting techniques that are there, and then we do the permutation combination on the topic that is, that feels most relevant. So but yeah, machine learning is like one of the most advanced ones, which is not that much explored.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answer.
Yeah, no worries. I see Jordan picking up his hand. Okay.
Jordan, are you having any doubt? Okay, I guess thank you, Harish sir. I guess nobody else have any doubt yet. So thank you for
Okay.
the valuable session, and these things are like really useful.
Thank you so much for providing me with this platform and listening to me patiently.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So next we will move forward and we'll have our second speaker, Mr. Prabhakar. So he's a global AI cyber data governance voice and he's a CEO of Cyber Capsule. So his session is titled as "The Machine Are Hunting Each Other." So sir, you can continue.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, sir, it's
Yes.
visible.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Prabhakar. The topic which I'll be exploring today is the machines are hunting each other. And I would like to start with the scenario that recently happened last month only, when an OpenAI model escaped a testing sandbox and it has changed a 0 day to stole the credentials, and it has reached the Hugging Face production internal database as well as service credentials. So OpenAI has released the press statement as well as said that it is a unprecedented cyber incident. But what do you think about this? Where we are leading into, and how we are supposed to, cater to this kind of threat scenarios as a threat hunter or as a cyber defenders,
who is constantly looking out for new ways of detection technologies, because attackers are moving at the machine speed, and right now we are also leveraging the machines, right? So can anybody answers like what is the ratio of attackers versus defenders globally? Any rough estimate or rough guess would be welcome, just to kickstart. Yeah, you can write that answer in the chat as well. Like how many defenders are there with respect to the number of attackers globally? We are not including machines as of now. Yeah. Anybody? Take a wild guess. Nope. 2 more seconds. So it is in the ratio of 1:5. There are like 55 lakhs of defenders, and there are like 12.5 number of attackers, which are humans, not the machines. And yeah, this is the brief intro of myself. I'm a board certified leader from ISCA, Chief Executive Officer at Cyber Capsule. And I would like to quote Sanskrit quote here is, there is nothing as purifying as the true knowledge. That is, nahi jnanen sadrasya pavitramaya vidyate. So what I believe is true knowledge comes from various practices set, various intent-based exercises, various motives that we truly holds within, right? And the outcome is the knowledge, or outcome is the adoption that we really look out for, right? So we'll take this topic as a learning journey, right? Because it's not a breach that we have observed, although it's an insider breach, or although it's a scenario where a frontier model which is developed by a company are not able to govern the model or govern the algorithm or govern the machine, who is trying to protect someone else's complete organization. So what I wanted to identify here is AI systems are designed for various activities, right? But for defenders, it's always about how we can leverage that particular AI technologies to discover various vulnerabilities, various scenarios that the previous speaker has covered, Mr. Harish, so that those frameworks, those models are trained well enough to identify the intent behind that particular uh, attack, right? Or the scenario which from which the attackers are trying to gain the credentials, gain the data sets, or the UAT part. So it is always about the intent that is to be detected by the machines, right? The intent we have to deceive with the flow, that how close the attackers are finding those vulnerabilities, and as a defender, how well equipped we are in terms of identifying that a particular attack scenarios with help of speed or autonomous systems that we are defining as a detection rule, and scale of the attack. Let's say an organization is having 6 lakh employees, just like Teleperformance, and their attack surface is huge, right? Because it has a presence amongst 190 plus countries, right? And to detect this kind of amplitude of attack inside the system, the SOC team or the defender team needs to adopt to the speed, adopt well to the plans or the detection rules that they have created, and identify the playbooks which justifies that if the attackers are thinking faster, we need to adopt and write better detection rules, right? So what I wanted to highlight here is, since the attackers scale are increasing, we all have to do is identify the AI-driven hypothesis, intent-based detection, as well as AI-correlated evidence-based, and ultimately it all results into the human factor, right? So human verification would be really much required as a part of governance. So I'll keep it in the three-parter series where we are going to identify what is the gravity of the situation here and how well versed we are with the rise of AI powered attacks. So in the last year, as per the IBM report, we have identified that 1 in 4 malicious breaches are now AI enabled. So it has increased by 56%, and it has 6 million average cost of breach. It is always talks in terms of the money, in terms of speed, or in terms of the amplitude. But the costly factor here is the leverage of technology, which is enabled for good purpose, are utilized by the attackers. They have created, jailbreak models. They have created worm GPT. They have created, malicious software as well. But the key takeaway we have to identify is how equipped we are to, materialize those changes in the defending. So, have anyone of you have heard about AI powered threat model? Have anyone of you has worked on MITRE Atlas framework? Any thumbs up? So if you are into the defender genre, I would recommend you to go through the MITRE Atlas framework, which is equipped with almost 225 different attack scenarios, which are powered by AI. The OWASP LLM guidelines is also there. I'm also working on agentic AI guidelines top 10 from OWASP chapter. So the largest or the topmost attack vector is goal hijacking. So we'll talk about that in detail. So this is the first AI to AI intrusion that we have discussed in the normal topic. So what actually happened is GPT 5.6 Solana and a pre-released model which has a reduced cyber refusal or the evolution or the guardrails, if we talk about in the defensive way, has escaped the sandbox via 8 JFrog Artifactory CVEs, and it has escalated to a node with internet that has changed the credential to reach the Hugging Face production, because all those pre-release models are already deployed on the Hugging Face production system, right? So Hugging Face has disclosed that a limited set of internal database as well as server credentials which has got hit, and it is possibly the first of its kind, because an AI system which is used to create this autonomous AI attack on the AI company. So they are very much scared as of now with the capabilities of AI because it is not governed. So what as a defender we need to identify here is we need to make sure that we are monitoring the intent as well as giving the permissions which are guarded by various technologies as well as the tool stack. And we need to identify as a part of threat modeling exercise based on, let's say, MITRE Atlas framework or the goal hijacking, which is the top, amongst the top 10 LLM vulnerabilities. We need to make sure that those guardrails are in place, and until and unless everything is tested perfectly, it should not be released for public usage. But yeah, the CV identification as well as the detection is always welcome, by the research communities, and it's an evaluative process. So this happened recently on August 5th. Have anyone heard about this? It was quite a buzzword inside the cyber scoop news. So it was detected by an Israeli firm called RE, and a multi-agent attack on the government system has been executed. And the government system has connected 21 governance systems mapped to different attack waves. It was spanned from last month 1st of July or the 4th of July, and everything apart from the government system, it has created autonomous workflow which is masked in the nature, as well as the workflow which has created a pattern that would mimic that this is the authenticated request, not the behavior, so that the behavior pattern or the detection rules cannot be able to detect this particular intent. So the majority of the detection rules works on patterns, right? That this is the pattern, this is the spike, and this is the activity. So we need to correlate that, and based on the trigger rule, it will identify whether it is a true positive incident or not. But most of the attacks nowadays with power of AI are sophisticated so much that they will create a workflow which is robust or bulletproof, and it will make sure that everything which is happening or executed would be as per the compliance. So it is very hard to detect this kind of attack scenarios until and unless we have intent-based detection system or the behavioral identification system of each and every queries which is executed by this AI agent. Guardrails is to prohibit and to stop that, but in real scenario, we need to make sure that each and every activities which is executed by this agent are monitored, and if the intent is malicious on the runtime, how to stop that with the help of kill switch. So this is the third example which I would like to highlight is about Anthropic Mythos 5. So this I think everyone has heard about this, like how the internet access for revolution is created for this Anthropic Mythos 5 model, and it has created multiple fake identities, the sock puppet endorsement for the proxies, emailed multiple malwares to the maintainers, the providers, as well as tried to insert malicious code into multiple open source projects. So it was detected by an contributor who has identified that this is not a right code or this is not the right approach, and blocked the PR request. So this package or this kind of behavior is observed by many of the frontier models. Now the thing is, how do we identify the intent as well as the behavior or the code base that these agents are writing in real time, executing the commands, as well as a detection engineer, how we have to streamline this as a part of attack discovery, right? So the major identification starts from allow list of activities as well as commands to this particular model. Scope credentials should not be able to execute some of the queries, and there should be an approval based on the gates as well as the writing of the code base, so that each and every execution should be monitored in this way, and this would prevent this kind of scenarios whenever we are trying to deal with certain kind of models. If it is an in-house capabilities, this should be the case. But if the model is already executed and if that model is already used inside your system, so then we have to leverage the AI firewall as well as the detection capabilities to make sure that all the intent-based detection should be monitored and well the detection rules are written. This would classify, and I hope that you got the gist that these are the 5 traits of this kind of AI powered attack. The first version is autonomy, the tool stack that this tool uses, the credential chaining as well as the environmental escape. So, environmental escape is how the device is configured as well as the scoping of the model is defined. And if there is no scope for certain kind of activity, it will by default execute the task because the model is intended to do, right? So we need to make sure that whenever we are giving, power to a machine, we don't know the capabilities, or if we are not aware about the intent or aware about the uh, data sets which is fed as well as the prompt which is fed for executing a certain task, we need to make sure that there are guardrails, there are behavioral monitoring systems, and if we are leveraging AI to minimize our task as well as minimize our workload, then we need to make sure that those workflows which are defined should be properly monitored or properly embedded with the guardrails. So this is the broader definition, like which would help you to understand like why we need to embed modern AI powered SOC, which would be equipped with latest tool stack. But what is the added layer which is required is how humans are engineered to detect this kind of capabilities with help of AI, right? So the key takeaway or the key pointers I would like to make here is machines are learning, right? And we have developed systems to detect machine powered threats. But humans are always reactive until unless certain kind of attack, passes through the threshold. And sharing those particular threat exchange. We always heard this kind of news from the majority of the breaches and majority of the attacks that has happened. But we silently should work on creating the community as well as the ecosystem where those threat exchange information is leveraged, where we are constantly building on the threat model, which is a runtime threat model with help of the threats or the observations or the log that we have observed inside the system, and we have to keep the incremental approach, like that would be creating the incremental version of the threat model, which would help everyone to defend better. So, as per the statistics, the average time for an AI-assisted attacker to, move from initial access to taking control is 29 minutes, and the fastest ever which was recorded is 27 seconds. And the average time of, global dwell time for detection is 11 days, and for few of the startups and few of the companies, it is more than 250 days. So that would highlight like the mean time is always higher, and it is if we talk about the numbers in the statistics, it is always 1,000 times higher. So I am pretty much sure that everyone here agrees that we need to learn as well as adopt to the AI powered technologies, and need to make sure that we are following the right path and creating the threat model which is required to defend with kind of AI powered attack. So we had a pretty solid discussion about the hunting strategies, and I clearly wanted to highlight is hunting is not always about scanning the logs, scanning the informative, scanning the behavior. Hunting is always about what could go wrong, and we need to make sure that if we have created an hypothesis that this is wrong, we need to adopt to the zero trust principle and identify like not every attack happens from the external source. Sometimes attacks originate from the insider source as well. So if we keep the zero trust principle embedded in the hunting scenarios, we will be able to identify more versions of attack scenarios. We can create robust version of threat models, which is not only about signature making, or the ISO lookups or the baseline check that we always perform that this is the legitimate behavior from originating from this source, because at every day at 7 o'clock it will run a scan, and this is the authenticated process. But what if those systems is compromised and a URL is changed where the downloaded data is dumped? And it would be a stealth activity, and it is happening since past 6 months. But nobody has looked out for the legitimate activities. So hunting is not always about scanning for anomalies. It is always about how do we identify the malicious intent, as well as how we identify what could go wrong inside the system. And attackers can be anyone, right? So if we talk about the amplitude that India holds, India has largest number of cyber attacks that has happened. And as per the statistics, there are various AI powered attacks that has been happening on the critical infrastructure of India. As per the recent data, there are reported 85 plus cyber critical incidents that has happened on the Indian nation so far in the in the year of 2026. And the strangest part is we are the largest AI powered engineers economy across the globe. And the scariest part that scares me a lot is that none of us has or are working on AI powered defensive AI frontier model systems. I have already contributed to multiple genres where threat groups are formed, and we are building that particular technology. But we are already 6 months behind the where the world is moving. So right now, as a detection engineer, which is leveraging AI, there is a huge opportunity if you are into this space, and if you are working on those scenarios where you are working on the goal based detection or the intent based detection, where each and every activities of this AI or the user's database is monitored closely based on the behavior, based on the intent, and based on the goal. So, how equipped we are, that's the small gist, and it has been forever. What we have, what is the strongest data sets which world's attackers are needing right now? It is always about identity and identity compromise. And this is the strongest example, like UPI fraud that has happened in 2026. It is 1,226 crores. This much amount is the attackers have siphoned from the users with the UPI fraud. And the KYC boom or the AI-powered voice cloning attack. So these are the attacks where AI is heavily leveraged, and as a users or as a detection engineer, this is the opportunity that which will be highlighted and which would be siphoned upon. Now the thing is, synthetic identities, biometric compromise are used for creating mule accounts, which is which is used to route the money across the internet, and it is the fifth largest economy of mule accounts. So it is also a scary picture that I wanted to highlight here. So what AI can do and what AI can do for the detection engineers. So this is the a bloody sweet spot that we have identified, that as a detection engineer, where we have to land, what we need to protect as a nation, or where we need to protect and invest our time to save the company's credential as a detection engineer. So these are the things that I wanted to showcase in terms of the MuleHunter.ai, which is an RBI governed initiative where AI powered hinting scenarios for mule accounts are being detected on the national scale. And various government agencies are already joining this initiative, and it is a mandate for the banks to redo the KYC process every 3 to 6 months. So although India already learns and adopt to the new technology, but it is a citizen first nation. So we need to make sure that we are also learning from this initiative on the global scale, and we need to adopt and mature the landscape and protect the critical infra. So I'll share the threat hunting playbook that I was clearly mentioning inside a few of the examples. So it is always about the goal, it is always about the intent and the decisions that each and every actions and the behavior for each and every AI agent's execution, which plays a role here. It is not always identifying the logs as well as anomalies as well as the signatures, but this kind of scenarios which is bypassing the common conventional signature based detection. So right now we need to work upon the threat modeling approach, which would identify that, let's say, if this particular scenario is happening, and this scenario is, let's say, X request is coming inside this environment, and we need to identify whether this request is good or bad. So if we apply the zero trust principle, we will monitor this particular activities as well as the execution of the commands that has been happened for that particular AI agent. And if we run the query across logs as well as endpoints, identity, the networks, then we need to make sure that based on the correlation rule, we are making the human on the loop or human in the loop decision making system, so that we will be verifying whether this task is malicious or not. Once we verify that, we need to make sure that we are able to kill that particular workflow, or the kill switch mechanism should be always present for all the agents or all the deployed AI related activities. So that is the major principle of AI governance as a part of the detection as well as the prevention rule. And I would like to make sure that this is the top priority list which the organization should adopt to implement the kill switch as well as the workflow. And if they haven't tested and tried using in their particular environment, it would create a huge loss in the forthcoming. So I would always encourage each and every organization to verify whether they can implement the kill switch functionality into every agent that they have deployed. Yeah, so I was focusing on MITRE Atlas as well as EUAIF as well as the NIST AI risk management framework. So these frameworks give you the basic terminology as well as the tactics, techniques as well as procedures, how we can implement each and every use cases with the case studies for the agents that they have defined. Once we have mapped each and everything, there would be identification protocols, preventive protocols, as well as the detection protocols. That would be covered for insider threats as well as external threats that can be raised from AI powered attacks. So if we map that and if we take this mind map as well as threat model into consideration, we'll be having a robust overview of the hunting capabilities of the engineers as well as the hacking capabilities of each and every AI products that is used inside the environment. So if you are still with me on following this, AI hunting program, I would recommend this strategy. It is a 90-day AI threat hunting program, which starts with AI governance foundation, AI attack surface mapping, as well as baseline KPIs, where we need to identify each and every AI inventories. It would identify a huge amount of shadow AI based detection as well. Then we will be mapping those with the attack scenarios as well as the threat modeling approach, which would comprise red team assessment, and as a purple team, we have to monitor each and every activities and see what are the guardrails, and if there is a priority one, how we are fixing that inside the system. And based on that, if we are creating a robust hypothesis, workflow detection, playbooks for detection, that would be a priority for the companies who are heavily leveraging AI powered agent solutions inside the system as well as inside their production. And if we are making sure that AI powered attack surface is reduced, we need to make sure that the ROIs as well as the KPIs is mapped with the business outcomes of the agents, so that each and every agents which are used or deployed or taken care of inside the system are governed properly and tested properly with the kill switch. That's the threat hunting strategy which I would like to suggest to each and everyone to follow this particular program. So this is the brief checklist. I would like to ask the future GPT team to share this particular slide deck with the participant if they wanted to refer to this particular checklist. But this is the high level where we need to identify how we are making sure that all the agents are guarded with the guardrails as well as the detection mechanism. First is to create, the allowed list of activities, the scope credentials, the sandbox escape drill that should be also measured, registered proxies as well as the detection rules should be uh, in place, and there would be hunting scenarios as I have already mentioned about what are the query templates, what are the workflow detection, what are the honey token deployed, the machine to machine detection, and what is the actual human in the loop, as well as what are the feedbacks that we are getting from each and every activity, how we are identifying the mule accounts, out of band, operations which are conducted by this AI agents. The agents, as well as we need to make sure that everything is evidence based. There would be a timestamp which would be required for each and every actions, as well as the hash value would identify that those evidence or those activities are not tampered, and it would be mapped with the whole hijacking detection scenarios.
Sir,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. So, like, basically, we are short of time.
yeah, sure. This is the last slide.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so this is the brief. I would like to summarize. We need to make sure that we are following this particular strategy. We need to correlate, we need to verify, and we need to contain. And it is always about how well equipped we are into the mindset, because the AI powered attackers are hunting for users' credentials, hunting for users' data. And if we are able to protect it with the detection strategies that I have mentioned, we are always, one step ahead from that. Yeah. I'm done with the presentation. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. If the time is short, you can always drop the message in the chat, and I will be happy to answer. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhakar. Any queries from the attendees? If you have, you can ask him.
Prabhakar, Harish here. One question. So you talked about the AI playbook. Have you implemented it on your
Yes,
end?
yes.
Okay.
So I'm working on a solution for intent-based detection. It is basically behavioral analysis where each and every malicious activity in the sandbox environment. I have tested that, and we have deployed it to 4 clients as of now. So it is an
Okay.
interesting capabilities where each and every activities are monitored and logged based on the hash value, and each and every actions that has been taken by the prompt or the commands that the AI agent executes. And based on the complete graphical analysis, based on the user's behavior, based on the command execution, it will identify and classify the intent score of that particular agent. And if that score passes a certain threshold, it will pop up an alert, and we have a kill switch option on the right way, so that we
Okay. And
immediately we can stop or kill the process on the runtime.
mhm, mhm. And
So,
your how do you ingest data? Is it like, are you getting data from SIEM,
so
EDR everywhere,
you have
or
heard
is it?
about CrowdStrike agent, right? It works on the
Yeah.
similar pattern.
Okay. So you're automating,
Yeah.
you making use of it. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other queries? Anyone is having? All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Prabhakar, for such a thought-provoking session and for sharing your expertise and practical insights with the future GPT community. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, community, for this wonderful opportunity. I would be happy to answer any more questions on the chat.
All right, so now we can moving on with our last and third final speaker for today. So we are pleased to welcome Mr. Mayank Pandya. So basically, he is a tech lead, cybersecurity expert, lead auditor, and pen tester with experience at Reliance and Devam Technologies. So, Mr. Mayank will be speaking on the topic threat detection using AI. So, hello, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good
Am I
evening.
audible properly?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, Himani, for this introduction. Okay. First of all, so myself, Mayank Pandya, I am the founder director with Devam Technologies, and we are mainly into the cybersecurity domain, handling multiple activities, which is like obviously one part that is about the training and certification program. Along with we are into the ISO certification, auditing, lead auditing, VAPT, and like other corporate trainings and other things that we are handling. So far, obviously, so in my journey overall, being working professionals in industries, lastly, I was associated with the Reliance, and then I have, from 2018 onwards, started this own startup. So, going through in this domain, cyber security specifically, and obviously day to day, we are going through and enhancing the knowledge vertical as well because of there are day to day new threats are there, and obviously AI, which now become the key technology learning. Obviously, as a those who are into development point of view, that is one thing, and those who are into the other cyber security domain. So for them as well, this is also an challenging vertical as well as which is career oriented vertical as well. So, like earlier before me, Mr. Harish ji and Prabhakar ji has already conveyed a lot of things related with this vertical AI and cybersecurity point of view. Okay, and obviously very deep things that we have been gone through so far in this earlier two sessions. So the things which I am about to discuss that is specifically related with the threat detection mechanism. Although because of discussing the security in this particular vertical, so where number of things slightly has already been discussed with Mr. Harish ji and Prabhakar ji. Okay, so I am now sharing my screen, so we can just go through about certain criteria in this regards further in the session. Because I am into some remote area right now connected, so maybe there might be some connectivity issues. So just to make sure bandwidth appropriate, so I'm just keeping my camera close at the moment. But in case of any query, do ask me. I will just be there in the camera further. Okay. Please anyone just confirm about this screen share visible.
It is.
Yeah, thank you, Harish. Okay, fine. So let's go through in this. So now this particular, in a day-to-day routine, as we are, listening about a lot more things related with the, cyber crimes and certain attacks mechanism, even though not specifically considered as a AI-powered attack, but recently we have, gone through and heard about the biggest breach that is related with the BOB, Bank of Baroda, like in India. Right. So yes, there are certain challenges there with the in cybersecurity vertical because of the day-to-day this crime also going with innovation. Okay, and so the security also required with necessary innovation approaches. So one thing that is required in today's world, that is to be identify or detect the threat in a real time. Okay, and that is the need of the era, we can say. So like here in this our agenda overall roadmap for the session. Okay, so we'll just go through about discussion of all the the threat landscape, particularly just basic insights and some data that we can discuss upon. Okay, AI obviously helpful as well as challenging in the real time. Okay, the game changer concept of the AI, certain core AI technologies that we can go through, detection workflow, and some case studies that we can go through so far in this session further. So first thing that is about this threat landscape. So as recently just we have discussed that uh, the day-to-day challenges and the threats that going on or real-time cyber attacks already certain things that already been discussed by the Prabhakar ji recently. Okay, so this is somewhat the projection overall. The figure can be get vary. Okay, but the projected size of this global AI in cybersecurity market by 2030, that is $93.75 billion. Okay, from 2024, that is around 25.35 billion. Okay, so this is specifically the security market that can be, okay, going to get enhanced. Okay, also the need why this high rise can be get possible, that is obviously the threat detection response is a critical. Okay, so it is required for each and every organization in a real time that they need to invest uh, for their security of infrastructure. Okay, and so that they can at least get to know the real time the picture about the security. See, VAPT, that is one thing that the organizations are going through. Okay, as per the guidelines from the either from the NASCOM or the government of India, and globally also organizations are performing this VAPT. That is one thing. Okay, but it is like either quarterly or either annually that they are going through. Okay, but this report of that particular time frame by identifying the vulnerabilities, right, that is not sufficient enough, because in the real time when to counter the threats, obviously there should be an approach from the organization to that should be in the real time rather than to have some certain old data. Okay, so the explosive growth in connected devices, obviously increasing the cloud workloads also, and the digital transactions that massively widen the attack surface. So all these respective areas, either you can consider the financially cloud-based mechanism, other sectors like insurance, even though the pharma and the research area. So everywhere these particular threats are applicable, and that is the need that organizations need to expand their capabilities, so that in terms of the security solutions specifically, right, so that they can be secure their infrastructures, their data, right. So the machine learning and the behavior analytics now allow the defenders to stop the threats in real time. So the traditional approach, or we can say the legacy approach so far, is like identification, some rule based mechanism, or detection signature based things. That is one thing that usually the organizations are going through. Okay, but something, the X factor which is needed, and that is to deploy the model. So there are so many researchers ongoing. Recently, I think we have been gone through with the examples. Thankful to Harish that they have shown us, with this how effectively that can be get function. So that is a need that we can consider. Okay, for the expanding of the threat landscape because of the rising attacks and the cyber crimes. Now the AI cybersecurity market growth. Okay, so over the years, so this is how the projection should be. Again, the variation can be because of the global trades. Okay, but this is the some approximation that can get possible. Uh, the need or the investment specifically going through from the organizations in security deployment, and specifically with the AI cybersecurity market or AI-based cybersecurity market, definitely. Now, about the AIs, obviously. So far that we have discussed the purpose of AI, okay, and as we know, artificial intelligence, okay, mainly, could be helpful. The human reduce our, certain, work hours, can helping out in certain ways that can help or enhance the productivity, the functionality and capabilities within the organizations. So all the good sides that we know, again, but it's like a double-edged sword. Okay, so AI is almost similar to that. So this AI intelligence, I mean, artificial intelligence isn't the only strengthening defenses. See, as currently that we have discussed about the, I mean, we are discussing about the detection, threat detection using AI. That means the level of strength that we can obtain. Okay, but again, the similar things or similar concepts can be get used by the attackers as well, because AI is become like a weapon for them. Okay, so the AI powered attacks learn and adapt to their targets, making them faster to launch and harder to detect. And that is the reason, because of now attackers are using this technology and making their attacks, or certain the development should be undetected. So that is the thing. We need to go far from the traditional, the way of detection mechanism. IDS, IPS, yes, there. But in that also now this AI implementation which can make this, the robustness of the detection mechanism. Okay. So as we can see, certain attacks specifically like AI crafted social engineering, right? So nowadays there are many such things are, uh, going on where, the social engineering is going to get performed by using the AI mechanism. So in that, even though, let's say, for example, there was one, I forget the name actually, the CEO of the company, but like AI mechanism has been used to that, identifying that, that CEO, CFO's writing style on the LinkedIn post and other things. And accordingly, the AI, I means the attacker has learned this using the AI and launched the attacks, or to share certain things to the connections within the organization, those who are the colleagues or the co-workers within that organization. So that means that can become very hard to detect, the social engineering performed by the AI. Okay. So attackers obviously use the AI to analyze the target's digital footprint. Okay. And accordingly, they can craft the personalized or psychologically manipulative messages, which can may turn them to believe it as a real. Also, the spear phishing, okay, that obviously spear phishing, that we know that should be like a targeted emails are going to get shared or transferred to the specific targeted audience or victims based on their online activity, and uh, analyzing their social profiles for context. Even though that we know, maybe many of you might have used this along with either ChatGPT or this Claude, that you can put your LinkedIn profile or someone's LinkedIn profile, obviously, which is having the public settings, not in the private, but it can help you to analyze their activity, complete analysis blueprint that you can be able to identify. And obviously such things can help the attackers to plan any sort of the attack through this. Also about this deepfake impersonation. So nowadays it is most common going through attacks, and everyone might have heard in the news as well, definitely. The voice and video cloning, that attackers try to impersonate the executives to authorize any fraudulent transfer or actions, means making them to believe that some messages or videos are coming from the top authorities from the organization, and guiding them, or maybe I can say the commanding them to do something or do perform something. So they do just believe that because it's identifying with their voice or video, so they can differentiate whether it's a real or fake. So that this technology in AI, that deepfake is specifically used to craft such malicious things. Okay, and that is the reason that we can say the AI is obviously the challenging one, the positive sides, but larger than this, the criminals are using that for some negative activities or malicious activities. The next, that is about the emerging AI enabled attack techniques. Okay, so APT, that is the advanced persistent threats, obviously, so which is considerable the most sophisticated unauthorized access that can be usually undetected in a network for extended periods to gather the intelligence. So advanced persistent threat, like in VAPT, those who are into this profile know that something like when to perform the attack or exploitation, and gain the access and try to make that backdoor access continuously. Okay, so somehow this mechanism can help in real time with this advanced persistent threat to identify that, and to access undetected to certain resources, specifically critical servers maybe, or the web server or anything. Then the deepfake attacks, so which is also the AI generated synthetic audio video. And obviously nowadays we know that using this Gen AI specifically, people are, I mean, that is obviously many people are using that just for a fun point of view, or maybe like a time pass, that they can certain modify their old images or pictures, or maybe while going through on some, vacations or visiting some area, and they want some, professionally photo shoot like of images. So obviously many people are using this AI generated, or feeding their images or personal videos or images, and try to get that more effective and with high quality output. So this particular things are already there, and along with that, many people using this real images to be get converted into some other form of, let's say someone sitting in a chair at home, but take a selfie and put that on ChatGPT or Claude, that converted this as a sitting on a seesaw and enjoying the sunset like this. So that means technically AI is crafting this, so for a fun or for some entertainment point of view, that is one thing. But now using that to impersonate people, even though there are many, as per the, because I have certain times have interactions with local cyber cell, in that we identify that many some cases has been lost, not in form of the FIR, because of the name and everything is going to get revealed due to that, but some private level that they can ask that the girl specifically images can be get put onto some pornographic models and other, and that way manipulating them, or maybe blackmailing, technically kind of a sextortion that is going to get performed using these deepfake attacks. Then comes about the AI powered malware. Obviously, so far that we know in this malware, which is nothing but like a malicious software. So the level of expertise in write up the code or programming the things, uh, that can be get done by those who are expert, okay, with the coding, and having the strong knowledge in systems or network functionalities, and accordingly they can develop any kind of malware. Okay, but now that using the AI, which is going to be quite easier, even though those who are not skilled or not even graduated to any kind of discipline, in the IT or computer science, but even though they can be able to create the malware. So the malware that uses the AI to fingerprint the victims, adapt to defenses, and avoid detection while spreading through network. Because of the challenges into the traditional detection mechanism. Okay, so far it is based on the either some rule or signature based. Okay, over the time there is anomaly based detection is added, and now with, even though because we are discussing this threat detection with AI, so obviously this mechanism by using the the use of AI, make it very strong, specifically based on the you know the activities profiling, the based on uh, the behavior, and all this are going to get used to detect them. Then comes about the adaptive phishing. So NLP driven, the phishing or the business email compromise, BEC content. So in that, try to impersonate someone to read this authentic and personalized email that has been specifically crafted for a person. Let's say, for example, CEO drafting some mail to any finance manager or GM, or maybe let's say finance executive technical who handles the other banking transactions and all, right? And making them to transfer some amount to XYZ company because of some tie-up we are going to do, and so on. So while drafting such things in such a way that the people should not get a second thought that this is not the, I mean, a phishing email or the real one. And also this DDoS at machine speed, because of AI, can help the attackers to identify and exploit the vulnerabilities. Even though, let's say for example, we know that there are certain tools, because of in VAPT we do perform uh, this web application security or application security testing and all. So in that, certain tools that we can use. But even though on surface level or certain things that you look forward, right, you can just provide the target to either of any this AI model, and that they can perform the primary level of VA, okay, and lets you identify certain vulnerabilities, and maybe any vulnerabilities related with some technologies, or uh, maybe related to some framework or anything that at surface level to should be get identified, or for which any CV has been published, that is common vulnerability exposure, right? So even though that can get the idea, the attacker, okay, and that they can take forward to launch the attack. And lastly, there is about the credential and identity attacks. So AI assisted brute forcing and social engineering to compromise accounts and pivot inside the environment. So far this identity point of view, nowadays we have that many implementations are there. Okay, the traditional this login mechanism to authenticate comes to the two-factor authentication and now multi-factor authentication with the various technology aspects where we can use the biometric based detection, also the traditional OTP mechanism is also there, right? And combinedly, it can help to identify. But still, if there are some particular laggings identified that should be get misused by the attackers, and they can be able to launch the attacks on these identity related things. Okay. So I think many of you definitely might have heard about this NotPetya, which is very much known this ransomware, okay, which was widely regarded the most destructive malware ever deployed. So in year 2017, specifically May or June 2017, so that was has been uh, get highlighted worldwide, okay, because of the large amount of systems are compromised due to this, okay, and it was not detected obviously because of signatures are not there to any standard antivirus manufacturers or those who are the vendors into this. Another one that is about the black energy, which was the malware transferred to the Ukraine power grid. And nowadays, based on this Ukraine and Russia war situation since almost 2022 or 2023, okay, and certain the attacks has been launched to both side. Even the Ukraine has traditional warfare, that is one thing, but there is something part of the cyber warfare where this malware has been deployed to the power grid, and due to that the widespread blackouts or disruptions to the countries and the supply has been done. And see, even though I was listening out one podcast maybe 2 days ago, in that maybe many of you might have heard about the person, Mr. Amit Dubey. Okay, he was there. So I have just gone through, and in that it was the question asked that is it what can be the challenging, because it was specifically session based on the cyber security point of view and how these social media create any effect in that. And means we are not going to politically and other stuff, but certain things that they have discussed about the CGP protest and all this, in that how the technology has been used, how the AI role was there. So certainly has been discussed, and one point that I like and I also agree on that, and maybe all of you also can be get relate in that. So there are certain areas that the attacker, let's say for example, Pakistani hackers group, or maybe some other China hackers group, or many others, that they're looking forward to target only the government sites, or maybe the our e-com system or healthcare system, other things. So the answer from Mr. Amit Dubey, that is the most critical one should be when any hackers group can target the energy sector. Okay, because of ultimately all the things are definitely depends on that. So if your energy grid is compromised or something is going to happen, then obviously that could be more critical, and this situation already been has been faced by the Ukraine in year 2015. Okay, then comes about the social media bot campaigns. So automated bot networks for the social platforms with misinformation and propagandas, and obviously, and which is now most commonly we see, how the social media algorithms, either it is of Instagram or Facebook or any other, we can take the social media platform, right? That algorithm, obviously sometimes which are the paid campaigns or maybe uh, organically, but again that is the challenges are identified, that some specific propaganda or misinformation has been circulated even though reported, but still not appropriate actions are going to get taken. So we are not blaming the authority, or we are not blaming the government or any other things, but something where a real time the seriousness should be get required on any such thing, because of uh, I mean the India, because we have the huge this population obviously, and specifically the youth population is higher side, and where each and everyone are on the social media, right? And obviously, and this can create the impact. Okay, again, I'm saying that not going through any political or other stuff, but certain, the activity is going to get carried out, okay, which can be get maybe back supported, and that can spread. So ultimately, to the disturb the peace in countries or other things where the social engineering is going to get create any effect, and specifically social media bots can do such things possibly. Okay, where even though, because I mean, many of you have definitely heard about this. The video of our Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi has been taken down. Okay, although Mark Zuckerberg has, uh, take the apology also, but things is that because of, even though some things are going to get done with this type of personality who is having the, millions of uh, followers are there, okay, on such accounts it is going to get happen that we can't say that anyone accounts can be get affected with this. Okay, then comes about this voice cloning CEO fraud that has been happened to 2019, and that is also related with the UK energy firm, where the fraud of the roughly around 2 lakh euro, after the attacks, they use the AI clone audio to impersonate the executive's voice, and maybe that fraud has been initiated into this because of they can't identify that this is not the real voice of the CEO of the company. Okay. So these are all, the just these are examples just I have put on here just to identify and understand, how critical it could be, the AI powered attacks, how critical it can be. Okay, so these are all the real world examples. Now we need to consider why AI is the game changer in the threat detection. Okay, so the one example that we have already discussed related with the NotPetya, as I said, so it's not like that the worldwide organizations, government or private sector companies are not having the security mechanism, although they have definitely, but still this malware has successfully breached and transferred and spread internet, affected certain lakhs of the systems and servers due to that. Okay, and it was initially undetected, all because of this traditional mechanism where no antivirus or total security manufacturers or the vendors, any renowned company you can take, even though the Microsoft even as well, because the defenders should not be able to identify that. Because I was working in the Reliance that time, so 2017, we faced this challenge also. Although luckily enough that there was no any server has been compromised, but the panic definitely was there. Okay, and it was almost identified from diagnose the attack worldwide, and the impact has been identified. Okay, within 24 to 36 hours, within the Microsoft has released the patch for the same, and obviously Reliance being a the one of the big customer for them, because we have number of systems and servers belong to the Microsoft base. So the update of the provided patches to be get deployed on all the server, because like for example I was part of the Gujarat team. Okay, so all our state offices, even though the other particular sector, because we are supporting IT to the Reliance retail. Okay, so all sort of the retail verticals, whether you can say about the Reliance Digital or Reliance Trends or Reliance, jewelry and all the segments, smart and everything, right? So that even though geo retail, so that all fall under our services, because our team is providing the services in that. So we need to patch the servers to each and every locations, right? So that is something, how this means, this is just an example I'm saying that, but to understand what is the real time situation when, organizations are going through. As I said, luckily we are enough that, no any server has been compromised, but those organizations who face this and affected their resources in such things, right? So that will very much critical situation for them. So, sorry. So in the real time, when the capabilities of the AI can be get helpful to diagnose the things. Okay, let's say for example, uh, we can just go through this functionality specifically like real-time processing, pattern recognition, adaptive learning, uh, reducing the false positives and proactive capabilities. So real-time processing is obviously when data sets or vast data sets should be there, which can be get analyzed, right, and respond to the threats as they happen. So maybe sometimes it may take hours or maybe the days later also this can be get possible. But if you have these capabilities implemented in such a way that it can learn the things from the data sets effectively and faster way, and can perform the counter. So that is the one thing. Then superior pattern recognition to identify the subtle, complex, and hidden patterns across the data sets. Obviously, certain level that is a human intervention, human analyst role should be get there, right? Because of, and that is the reason why some false positives are or identification, right? So with human touch that can be get eliminated. Adaptive learning, so the continuously learns from the new data, adapting to emerges new attack techniques and previously unseen threats. So this is one of the impactful features we can consider, or the properties that we can consider for the AI. Okay, because of the LLMs, and with this adaptive learning. Okay, so can process the algorithm, can even improvise based on the data, and whatever the emerging attack technologies are there, that can be get identified in the real time, and also diagnose the any unseen threats earlier. Okay, that can be get learned. So that can get possible through this adaptive learning. The false positive, obviously, so more accurately distinguishes malicious from legitimate activity, cutting alert fatigue for security teams. So those who are specifically the profile from, maybe the firewall engineers, or maybe into the security, or more specifically with the SOC, right? So there is one challenging, that is the identifying the false positive or working upon the false positive, because it obviously takes so much time. And although nowadays with AI also there is this reduction there with the new SOC implementation there. Then comes about with the proactive capabilities. So predicts and flags the potential threats before they materialize into full-blown breach. So the prediction obviously based on the learning, based on the analysis of large data sets, uh, the profiling, and all this can help to understand that in real time, and accordingly the proactive steps can be get taken out that can help to counter or block the threats particularly. So that is the thing. So these are all the particular the features or properties that. Now, which core technologies could be get there for the threat detection? So one, that is about the ML, obviously, machine learning. So the supervised learning classifies the threats from label data, because of obviously uh, it is required to provide accurate data, obviously, that can help the algorithm to understand in a well situation, right? Unsupervised learning detects the anomalies and novel attacks without the prior label. So this particular things can help the the AI algorithm to be get improve further. So this machine learning, the deep learning, where the neural networks uncover the intricate patterns in large complex data sets, like the sequences of network traffic or transactions. See, now in this specifically, all these specifically, like the behavioral biometrics, the graph neural network, that is GNN, right? So things can should be get learned in a way using this neural network, and based on those learnings, it can help to improve the respective algorithms or AI models, obviously, and that can help further effectively for the threat detection. NLP, that is a natural language processing, that can analyze the unstructured text, all about this email, chat logs, tickets for any suspicious language, phishing intent, or inconsistency. So obviously NLP, where it can be effectively help either supervised, unsupervised way. Okay, specifically in this behavioral approach as well, right? Bottom there is this behavioral biometrics, so that can monitor the keystrokes of the dynamics, mouse movement, navigation paths continuously, verify the identity and the flags anomalies. Now see, behavioral biometrics are specifically to identify the human behavior approach. Okay, so employees working within the organizations, how they are, the way of working with by identifying or learning with their keystroke approach, mouse movement, like something which is as a human, activity or something which has been going through. Let's say, for example, nowadays we have the touch screen, right? So something through, touch screen going to get, provide the insights. So each and everything should be get, effectively helpful to learn the things. And GNN that already I think I have discussed, that is about the graph neural networks, so which can map the relationship between the users, devices, and accounts to uncover the hidden attack, infrastructure, and suspicious connections. Again, one of the best example, not specifically this. See, in organization for domain-based login, obviously people can use, obviously, the industry do provide them the resources, either laptop, desktop, tablet, or anything. And also, their capabilities that they can use their account to get log into some other device or some other place within the organizational premises or oriented premises over there. So in that should be some detection mechanism. See, allowing the user, obviously it's a legitimate user, official employees of the organization, and that they can be able to access, that is one thing, right? But something user can do, utilize this type of facilities to deploy some other malicious activities, right? So obviously for that, this relationship, like users associated with the devices or accounts given to them, the level of access and each and everything can be get, in using this GNN can effectively learn, okay, or any suspicious activities or connections should be get identified. So this all, this ML, DL, then NLP, behavioral biometrics, and the GNN, all these are all these to be considered as a core AI technologies which can help to deploy for the detection, threat detections particularly. Okay, then next comes about the AI powered threat detection workflow. Okay, I think certain things already been discussed by Harish ji and Prabhakar ji. So first thing obviously starts with the data ingestion, where they collect the diverse streams, the network endpoints, I means endpoint devices data, identity and behavioral data. That is, should be get feed or data ingestion going to get happen. Then comes about this feature engineering, that is nothing but like transforming all the collected or ingested raw data into the meaningful signals to AI models, means that can help further them to train the model. Then the third phase there, where the model training and validation should be get there. So build and refine the models on historical and real-time data. Okay, some legacy data or the real-time data should be get provided, and the model can be get trained on this. Then after comes about the real-time scoring. So apply all the trained models to new data and to flag the suspicious activity, whether it can be able to detect that or not. And then comes about the alerting and investigation. So escalate the high risk events to analysis, review, and response. See, as I said, possibilities of false positive should be there. Okay, and that usually going to get eliminated or require some human touch to identify. Okay, so analyst can review that and accordingly response on these regards. And lastly, that is the feedback loop. That means the feed investigation outcomes back for a continuous improvement. So in case of any challenges, or let's say the high amount of false positives identification, right? That means there are some challenges, or I mean the data sets or ingestion should not be get appropriated, or training or model training should not be get done effectively, right? So further improvement going to get happen based on the feedback loop. So this could be a continue life cycle we can consider throughout this. So that is how this typical threat detection workflow can going to get happen. Okay, so far it is all about the technological learning in this area. Okay, now I mean some of the attacks example that we have discussed, but now we discuss about the case studies. So the threat detection across the industries, we mainly consider the network security. I mean the area which obviously should be get applicable to all the industries, all categories of industries. Then financial services, endpoint protection, and insurance and claims point of view. So that's some case study that we can discuss here. So first case study that is about the network security. So challenges that is obviously the detecting or some neighbors in before attacks across the sprawling networks without relying on known threat signatures. See, in the traditional or legacy mechanism, like in firewall, okay, you deploy the rules, uh, can provide certain, the insights about the maybe the uh, blacklisted IPs or some, the signature mechanism. So based on that, the things are going to get happen. But just depending on that, the legacy system can become critical, and the NotPetya and the ransomware attack is one of the example. So the AI solution is that the unsupervised machine learning that builds a live behavioral pattern of life for every user, device, and connection. So within the organizations, based on the users' activity, overall network infrastructure functionalities, the devices and how they are connected, means any other particular implementation specifically. So those who are from network background may know about the the deployment of VLAN, then considering the configuration based on the specific routing protocols, or deploying other security functionality, or maybe NIDS, HIDS implementation. So based on that, something this machine learning can helpful to identify them. So continuously models the normal network behavior, because it is obviously required ingestion of the data. So model the network behavior, then autonomously flags can respond to meaningful deviations in real time. So what is the actual deviation going to get happen? So suddenly rise of the traffic, or from the user behavior point of view, let's say user on an average what they are working upon, suddenly some downloads increases from their side, right? So all these the deviations from the normal uh, operations, okay, that nothing but we can consider as anomalies. So that can help to learn, and effectively that can help to identify any fraud or suspicious activities. So impact that is enables the early detection of ransomware. Insider misuse means obviously insider threat is a major challenge to the organizations, and there is no specifically tools which can diagnose, because of all the things, and behavioral pattern can only able to identify any insider attack mechanism. And also the zero day exploits often before the business operations are disrupted. So that is how these the AI can be get helpful, or AI based implementation can be get helpful into identifying the network based threat detection. So here that AI should, capable enough analyze the, the normal behavior, normal traffic, and accordingly the deviation should be get learned, develop the model accordingly, and in future any such things are which is irrelevant, or with the deviations should be get identified, and raise the flags or raise the alerts on the particular. Then EDR, that is AI driven endpoint detection responses. Again, so many solutions are there in real time. Okay. Nowadays that all the manufacturers, even though you can take a name of either from the Cisco or either from any other renowned service providers in this, okay, even the CrowdStrikes and all. So where this endpoint are equipped with the AI based learning, obviously. So earlier challenges were all like stopping the fast moving malware and fileless attacks across the thousands of endpoints before they can spread laterally. Okay, so that usually become critical, because of only based on the signature, like a worms or other stuff or other viruses should not be get identified. So the AI solution is to cloud-based AI ML models which can be get trained on massive volume for the global endpoint telemetry and threat intelligence, and using that continues it can analyze the process behavior and system events, also correlate with some weak signals across the endpoints, means how they functioning in the network environment, and also catch the attacks traditionally. Antivirus is misses, because of antivirus are obviously depends with the signatures, okay, our signature database accordingly. So impact that it is the faster detection and automated containment, string attacker dwell time from the days to minutes. So something where it was earlier taking the time to identify and analyze, maybe detection took a longer time, but through this it can be get reduced to in hours or minutes only, so that any lateral activities can be get identified. Then about the real-time transaction threat detection, I think now this particular part, many of you definitely heard about, uh, specifically with the credit card transactions and all, right? How these frauds can be get detected. Okay, so the like challenges earlier, that is about the screening billions of transactions daily for fraud, account takeover going to get happen, and money laundering patterns are there. Okay, so AI solution that is to using machine learning models analyze all the transaction patterns, device fingerprints means which particular device, like user behavior point of view also. Let's say standard, if you're using the credit card and with that banking are also providing that if you are using that on some particular area frequently, that is one thing. But suddenly your transaction started to some other countries, right? So that behavior should raise the alert. So
Hi,
continue this
Mayank.
course, every transaction adapting to the new fraud, tactics while minimizing the disruption to legitimate customers, so that it can be helpful to real customers of the bank or legitimate customers to get protected against any such financial frauds.
Hi,
And
Mayank.
this leading up,
Sorry to interrupt.
hello.
Is it going longer? Actually, we are short on time, so we gotta wrap up.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yes,
So, yeah, just 2 minutes. So that is about this
sure.
particular financial services case study. Last one, that is about the insurance based claims and other things. So again, these challenges are there earlier. Now with this identification of the some previous claims mechanism based on some data from the healthcare and all, right? Now the insurance companies are from all the claim histories and external resources can get to know. So any anomalies like geolocation mismatch, let's say someone has taken some healthcare services and claim at one location, then again using that to some other site or other location, so that can be get identified. So there are many all such verticals or the industry means variation of the industry profiles where the use of the AI can helpful them to identify the threats in real time. Also about the cross industry benefits and best practices. So first thing, that is the fewer false declines. So as much as your the false positive can be get reduced, right? Then it could be easy for the analyst further to improve their services. Also, it can enhance to stronger customer trust, proactive threat intelligence that can help to emerge the attack tactics before they become the widespread. So that rather than waiting that someone already get compromised, then get to know and deploy. But this way, and obviously there are the huge cyber threat hunting. Already we have discussed. I mean, from Harishji and Prabhakarji. So that can be get helpful organization to build their proactive threat intelligence, and obviously this can be a helpful organization to meet up with their regulatory compliances. Okay, so all these are the challenges with the AI powered threat detection. Okay, I mean certain things already has been discussed, so I'm not repeating that things again and again.
Great. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Mayank, for sharing those practical insights into AI-powered threat detection. Your session really gave us a great perspective on how AI can help security teams detect threats more intelligently and effectively. So, thank you for being a part of today's Future GPT session. And with that, we come to the end of today's session. A big thank you to all three of our speakers, Harish Tiwari, Prabhakar Damor, and Mayank Pandya, for taking the time to share their knowledge and expertise with our community. Today's discussions have shown us that the future of cybersecurity is not simply about responding to threats, it's about anticipating them, hunting them, and using AI to detect them smarter. And of course, a huge thank you to everyone who joined us today and made this discussion possible. We hope you enjoyed the session and took away some valuable insights. Keep following Future GPT for more conversations, events, and learning opportunities around AI, cybersecurity, emerging technologies, and innovation. And thank you, everyone. Stay curious, stay secure, and we'll see you at the next Future GPT session. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.